Edina being fancy. Here's proof, because there was a little cocktail umbrella in the cheese cup. And it was darn good. And the beauty of that was it's a big cup of cheese. I dunked that pretzel like nobody's business, and there was plenty of cheese left over. I could have had another one or two pretzels. And so that was the big pretzel win of the week. And, I love everybody at the Mayo Civic Center, but they did not pull it off like they did at Braemar Arena. I went, $4 pretzel, that's a pretty good price. That's not expensive. Little cup of cheese, I knew right away, and I always tweet the before and after. Here's my pretzel, here's my cheese. I'm going in, and people immediately tweeted, that's not going to work. That's not enough cheese. This is going to be a bad one, John. And it was. I had a whole
Sounds like a Seinfeld episode. Just getting the balance between the pretzel and the cheese exactly right, and being angry about it.
Just right. The ratio has to be right.
The ratio has to be right.
I referred to this one on Twitter as an epic fail. I had a big chunk of pretzel left over. Cheese is gone, and so this is one of the great failures in pretzel and cheese history. I call it a first ballot hall of shame, and it was awful. So I have a friend down there, a high school freshman at Triton High School down that part of the state, named Jacob Lund, and we hadn't met. We were just Twitter friends, and we connected down there, and I tweeted a selfie of myself and Jacob, and he was highly recommending the pretzels. He wasn't thinking about the cheese as much. He just thought the pretzels were. He had two of them, and his dad had two of them. He tweeted about that. But, yeah, Jacob, I love the pretzels, but, boy, it was a big fail. And let's see if the Mayo Civic Center ups their pretzel game in the future.
Let's talk about officials. One reminder, thank you to our producer, Brandon Morton. Please email me at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com if you'd like to advertise with us, and please download before you listen. You tweeted out earlier in the week, and I retweeted it, that you need more female officials.
Right.
Of course, you need more officials of all kinds.
We talk about this a lot. We need more officials in all sports, but I was at the Breakdown Tip-Off Classic. They have one for girls, one for boys, the previous 2 Saturdays. And it kind of struck me at Rochester as I'm watching, some of these 7 girls games. These are 3-person crews. Most of them are all men. There were a couple of females down there, good officials. I know at least one of them I recognize from the state tournament. And we've had female officials work the boys' state basketball tournament. We've had female football officials. I think we've had at least one female official at the boys' state hockey tournament. We just don't have enough women doing this. And it really struck me down there. I think, I've seen more than 20 girls' basketball games already this season. And just the rarity of a female official really kind of hit me as I was sitting down there courtside at Rochester. So I just kind of asked, hey, young female athletes, if you're in high school, college, or recently out of high school or college, think about that. It's a great way to make a little money, stay connected to the sport you love, and we could sure use more officials, but I think female officials would just add so much to what happens, especially as role models to the athletes. What a great thing to see.
Absolutely. And, on the Cheryl Reeve show on this network, we talk about opportunity equality a lot. And part of it is people doing it so other people can see those people doing it. Yes. So they think of that as a possible path.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. The more we have out there, the better. And one of these officials, I don't remember her name, working one of these games. I did, when they announced the officials, I went on the high school league's directory of officials and trying to find out who is this. And she's a 3rd grade teacher. What a great role model.
Absolutely.
For kids who know their teacher is a high school basketball
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
National Gymnastics Honor.
Yeah, this is something we touched on last week, an online vote to choose the National Gymnastics Coach of the Year. The 2 finalists were the women's gymnastics coach at UCLA and the girls' gymnastics coach at Detroit Lakes High School.
Oh, wow.
Adam Thielen isn't the only superstar out of Detroit Lakes. Steve Zamzo is the coach at Detroit Lakes. They're a dynasty in gymnastics, and he wins this vote. He's the National Gymnastics Coach of the Year.
Wow.
And a lot of people in Detroit Lakes have online access. We learned that, and everybody got on there and voted, and he wins some equipment from the company that sponsored this thing. And way to go, Steve Zamzo. And he's also, as I talked about that official who's the 3rd grade teacher, Steve's an elementary teacher. And I've gotten to know him a little bit, and just a tremendous guy. And way to go, Detroit Lakes, Steve Zamzo, National Coach of the Year.
Awesome. Let's not play hockey?
Let's not play hockey. This call went out at a hockey game, a boys' hockey game last week in Farmington, Rochester. Century drove up to play the game at Farmington. Everybody's ready to roll. Let's get the ice surfaced. Zamboni is a no-go.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if they just have the one Zamboni. I'm guessing that's it. No hockey game. And I don't know I assume it's fixed. I assume everything's a go. But when Bill Sheeta, the AD at Rochester Century, tweeted to me, "I've never seen this before. Hockey game called off because the Zamboni won't work." That's no good. That's a bummer, to make that trip from Rochester. And hopefully it's rescheduled and the Zamboni mechanics have been under the hood and that it's all going to be good the rest of the year. But I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I never thought about the backup Zamboni angle.
Right. Some of these, bigger arenas, I think, like the Wild and the U, they all have two or more.
Yeah, but they're expensive.
But a high school facility, a community arena, yeah, that's tough. If
So, when the newspaper fails, I think being a Zamboni repair person who can, who's on call.
That's a specialized.
I think that's my next career.
I think so. Yeah, you're not going to roll in another Zamboni from 20 miles away. You got to get a truck.
You got to go get it
fixed.
You're
not going to drive it down the street. That's going to. The street's going to be very nice and smooth afterwards, but yeah.
All right, dumb tweet of the week.
Yeah, this is a rare category. Dumb tweet of the week. I had
Is it one of mine?
tweeted that I was watching.
I think it's one of mine.
It was not one of yours this time. I had tweeted about seeing Kate Jorgensen and the Westbrook Walnut Grove basketball team. Just one of the greatest nights of the year for me, and one of the coolest stories. Somebody tweeted to me, and I won't out this person. Tweeted to me, "You should have come to Northfield to see Roy Williams and Hubert Davis watching Matthew Hurt."
Oh,
and Matthew Hurt's the big prospect from Rochester, John Marshall. I had seen him play 3 days earlier, and he's everything as advertised.
His numbers have been ridiculous.
But my response to this tweet was, the next time I go to a gym to watch college coaches watch a high school player, that'll be the first time I do that. I've been in, with Tyus Jones and players like that. All these coaches have come through. They're in the gym for these it's not that big of a deal.
No, it's not.
And I saw, some people were having their two kids pose with Roy Williams. And some of these college coaches are tremendous. They'll do that as much as they can. That's great. It's a great memory. That's a big-time guy coming to your gym. But I'm not going to a gym to see which college coaches are there.
No. I wouldn't either. Changing of the guard in Brainerd.
Yeah, we talked about Mike Bialka, the soon-to-be retired sports editor of the Brainerd Dispatch, after 40 years there. Mike broke the news on Twitter that his number 2 guy, Jeremy Millsop, will take over as sports editor on January 2nd. January 1st is Mike's last day. This is no surprise to anybody. Jeremy's a pro. He's been there a long time. He'll be great. The thing that struck me, Mike also tweeted this unbelievable fact. Jeremy will be only the 3rd Brainerd Dispatch sports editor since 1951.
Wow.
Because the old-timey guy who was there before Mike, started in 1951. And I've talked to people in Brainerd. I forget the name of his predecessor. It's in the story I wrote about Mike. But Mike's as even-handed as they come. His predecessor used to rip on the officials in the paper. That's what they tell me. He'd yell at them at the games and then rip them in the paper.
Well, now we know where Sid started his career.
1851, the Brainerd Dispatch. So way to go, Mike. Congratulations, and congratulations to Jeremy. Big shoes to fill, my friend.
Congratulations to both those gentlemen. Mr. Football is no surprise.
Yeah, this was Sunday. Jason Williamson, the superstar from Owatonna, who all he does is run for a lot of yards and score touchdowns. He's going to play for the Gophers. I don't know if he'll be a running back. They're referring to him as an athlete because he's one of those linebacker, strong safety types. But boy, is he fun to watch with the ball. So Sunday he was named Mr. Football by the Minnesota Football Coaches Association. He also is the AP, the Associated Press Player of the Year, and he's a 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year in Minnesota. Wow. So he sweeps all the honors, and rightfully so. Way to go, Jason Williamson. I think everybody's looking forward to seeing him in maroon and gold. Absolutely.
Let's see. I don't think we have any Twitter questions that we didn't address during the show as it stands. So I think we're going to wrap that up. We will be doing another show that will come out next week during Christmas week, kind of a year-end special. So please tune in for that. If tune in is the right word for podcast, I don't know. Click on it, whatever how you want to say.
Dial in.
Find all the shows at talknorth.com. Or easier, subscribe at iTunes, your favorite podcast app. Thanks to Gourmet Parlor Pizza. Please download before you listen. And we do appreciate, here as we come close to the end of the year, we do appreciate everybody who listens. We appreciate our sponsors. Thank you for making this a success. And, of course, thanks to John for bringing us all these great stories.